What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Marvel's Midnight Suns. My impressions after roughly 15 or so hours. I'm only going, I guess, by what PlayStation says. I can't look at, I don't think Midnight Suns does the thing with their loads where it tells you how much time. I like games that do that, but I honestly love it. I'm dead serious, and I thought I would enjoy it. I really did. I thought I was going to enjoy this game. I've always been on this game's side, and that is something I can say all the way back from when it was announced. Remember, I was fine with the card combat thing. I thought it looked cool. It was everything else. Was everything else going to really work? How deep would the card combat style go? And I can tell you, again, after 15 hours, it's no joke. It's one of my favorite games of the year. I can tell you it's not my favorite game of the year for sure, just because, the top of the list is filled with some classics, I think, as time goes on. But I really, really do love Midnight Suns. So let's talk a little bit about it. Let's start with the greatest strength, which is the combat. I am addicted. Like, I beat a mission to just go back and do another mission. Now, you have to do stuff in between, right? You got to go to the Abbey, and you got to talk to people and all that stuff, and we'll talk about those aspects as well. But when you're in those missions, and you're strategizing, and you're using these unique abilities to your group, it is so much fun. Now, visually, it is literally nothing special. This game looks like a game that's probably like 8 to 9 years old. I would say that's one of the game's biggest weaknesses. It just doesn't look good pretty much at any, like, the cutscenes are fine, I suppose, but the gameplay, or when you're walking around, it does not look very good. But at the same time, do I care? Not really, in the context of I'm just having fun with the gameplay. I don't care what it looks like. There's cool animations. There's cool moves. I like clicking on a card and seeing the character, animate that card. But I'm also more intrigued with just, let's place a character here to kick this thing, or let's use this ability at this time, or, oh, we gotta save this because we need more heroism, or those are the things that makes this game very special. And this game is actually kind of difficult. I'm playing it on normal, I believe, which is the second to easiest difficulty, but there's 9 difficulties in all, and you unlock them as you go through. So I actually can keep going. I can do 2 more difficulties up. I'm okay with where I'm at, though. I feel challenged. I feel like it's not very easy when you're going up against normal or hard missions. It's not easy. You have to strategize. So the minute-to-minute gameplay is addicting. It just takes a special kind of skill to be able to place everything where it needs to go. But I love all of it, like the behind-the-scenes mechanics of earning new cards. And then it's like, all right, well, which card am I going to swap out, and building like a custom deck that you feel really good with. It's got what you want with it. You have to have characters that kind of play well with each other. There's no set team, and I'm sure anybody could or I'm sure certain people could make any team, right, pretty darn solid. But there's some characters that are somewhat alike, and maybe you wouldn't bring them on a mission together. Maybe you need a little bit of diversity there, right? I love it. I can't stop playing it. And because of the challenge, and because of all the stuff, once you leave the mission, to kind of just re-energize yourself, do all these smaller tasks, to then go back in and try it out, use the environment, again, use these different people. And I'm honestly loving every single character. Like, most times, I would say, with these kind of games, for me, I find myself just stuck into a couple characters that I like, right? I think a lot of people are probably like that. You play a game that's like this, or even you play a game with multiple characters, and you kind of settle into your go-tos, right? I mean, I have a couple go-tos, but not really, because by definition, I don't always go to them. I actually really, really mix it up. I love doing like the side missions, just like not the main story, just to kind of say, well, let's just take Magic, and which I actually really like her generally, but let's take Iron Man. I don't take him all that often. Doctor Strange, like, let's just throw all these characters together, and I really do love it. So gameplay, combat is honestly like a 10 out of 10. Like, I truly don't know how many times I have to say it, but I truly do love it. Now, what about when you leave? What about when you're not fighting? Because I've seen a lot of the divide with this game, and I saw even like a skill up right on YouTube. He had talked about how, like, that's great, but everything else is pure garbage. Well, do I agree with that? No, I actually don't. I think the one thing I will agree with, or say that I'm not a huge fan of outside of the combat, is the amount of talking. There is so much conversation that I just don't really feel like listening to. So, I mean, my own personal preference, some of the dialogue I'll just skip. I'll press circle on my PlayStation, I'll just skip the dialogue. A lot of the whole like, well, let's ask this character how they became this character. Do I care? I mean, maybe a little, but they just keep talking and keep talking. But I will say, it's not all of it that I don't like. It's specifically the amount of dialogue there is in those kind of conversations. I like going to heroes and complimenting them. I like going to heroes and choosing the branching dialogue path that'll give you bonuses depending on which of the two choices. I like that quite a bit. I love the day-to-day things. So like, go train, right? Go upgrade abilities. Go to the forge. Go do the, look at the coils. Look at the artifacts. All of that stuff that you're doing. So this game, like, the people that said, I think Skill Up actually said it too, like 50% of the time you're in combat, 50% of the time you're not. That is kind of true. I'd say probably pretty true, like somewhere in that gray area. The thing is, you can probably speed run the time you're in the Abbey. When you're not fighting, you can just go through that stuff relatively quickly. There are some things that you, again, like this is where you strategize. This is where you figure out and change your deck and unlock things and upgrade things. I mean, it's an important time. And then there's a lot of dialogue and conversations and other things that are happening. And a lot of that stuff you can just skip by if you're not, into it. Which, again, compared to everything else, I'm not into it, right? So I kind of just skip it. So do I spend 50-50? No, it's probably like 60-40 or 65-35, somewhere in that range, I think is where I'm at. And again, because it's so important and so like integral to do some of the stuff outside of combat as the combat is, it makes things pretty enjoyable. So I don't know, I really feel like this game fits where like the story is fine, the characters are fine, some of the voice acting I like more than others. Again, like half the time I don't really listen to it. I also have the volume generally on low, specifically for this game. So here's where I really think like where this game kind of stands. This is a perfect game. It's not like a turn off your brain and you can't focus, because you have to focus. There's a lot of strategy here, but I always talk on this channel about how like I like to have a collection of games that I can kind of turn my mind off, but yet they do require skill, like Rocket League or Dead by Daylight used to be the game, but Rocket League really is a big game that I do that for. Now when I'm kind of burnt out of other games and I just need a game that mindless, although it's not, right, because it takes some skill, I like to go to Rocket League. Midnight Suns honestly feels like that kind of game. It's a game that I think I can play quite a bit of, and I expect that by the end of December, I'll probably rack up 50 plus hours. Now, Crisis Core is going to slow me down because I am going to stop Midnight Suns for Crisis Core and then go back into it. So that'll slow me down a little bit, but this is a game that I can see myself playing quite a bit of immediately, which is what I did for Rocket League, Dead by Daylight, For Honor, right? These kind of games. And then it's also a game that I think I can come back to. Like if I just save it on my PlayStation and, if I don't touch it for a few weeks, and then I'm looking for a game for like 4 days. Like there's a new game that came out, I beat it, and then I have 4 days stretch until another game. This is a game I could easily go back into and put like 3-4 hours a night, 4 days, in the middle of that. And I really like, does that kind of discount the game? Maybe, but not to me, not really. I am really enjoying it. I don't know, I'm gonna have a ranking. I want to rank every single new game that I've played this year. So you'll see where Midnight Suns falls. I don't actually know where it falls, but it's got to be top 10 and probably top 5 because I'm just having like fun. I'm just enjoying it. I'm addicted to it. I think the combat is literally awesome, and it's just a game that I can have on. I don't need to be paying attention to every single word said. You pay attention to the tutorial kind of boxes that pop up every now and then when you unlock something and it tells you what that something does. You read it, but beyond that, like, you could probably even put this on silent. It can just kind of be there that you're playing and when you're doing other things. And I really respect, again, I don't think the game is trying to be that game, but it ironically becomes that game for me. But this is an amazing game. It really is. And by the way, coming out the same day as Callisto Protocol, I definitely would say this is actually nuts because I thought Callisto Protocol would be like a Game of the Year contender. I like Midnight Suns more, definitely, like it's without even a question. So there you go. There's my thoughts. It's not a review, but just in case you guys were like, well, where does Alex stand on it? Alex is liking it, and Alex is so into it that he's talking in third person for the first time. No, I'm really enjoying it. Really am. So let me know what you guys think. If there's any questions, I know this is kind of like a off-the-cuff kind of rambling thing. If you have any specific questions of like, what do I think about this thing? Let me know in the comments. I'll respond and all that stuff, okay? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.